Can foreign investors register company with CAC in Nigeria? Now, this is a major question for every investor that wants to invest in Nigeria and is intending to register a business with the Corporate Affairs Commission in Nigeria. So in this video, I'm going to be walking you through how you can start the process and if you can actually do the process alone and what are the things that are required. I'll walk you through all the integrity to be able to carry out a CAC registration in Nigeria as an investor in the country. Without any further ado, let's go into the video. But before we do, make sure you click on the subscription button, give the video a thumbs up so that it will be recommended to as many people as possible. So let's go into the video. The first thing I want you to understand is that yes, foreign investors can actually register a company in Nigeria, and they being able to register a company in Nigeria simply means that they will be able to own shares of the company, even own 100% of the shares in the company. But one of the major things I always give as an advice is that at least you have somebody who is a Nigerian who is on ground, or except if you are on ground in Nigeria and we are ready to carry out the process of registration yourself, then why not? You can carry out the registration process without any issue. Now, what type of company can a foreigner actually register in Nigeria? You can carry out different type of registration or company registration in Nigeria. The first one is that you can carry out a limited liability company registration in Nigeria, right? And this is recognized by banks, investors, it's recognized by government agencies. So if you are looking to work with the government agency and you want to get a company registered, why not? It will be recognized. You can also use the registration to enter into contract with different bodies, public parastatals, individual businesses, and different other individuals that you want to carry a business, you want to go into business with. You can also employ staff and conduct commercial activities in the country because you have a registered company. And finally, you can later convert that particular registration into a public company if necessary. So we can have companies that are not Nigerian based come into Nigeria and then carry out registration of their business in Nigeria. Now, what are the requirements for CAC registration in Nigeria? So the first thing you want to get is a name. That name is very important because the name has to be available. It will be reserved with the Corporate Affairs Commission on the portal. First, you need to carry out a search, and that search is important so that you see if your name of interest is not in conflict with already registered companies. That way, you'll be good to go. Now, the second thing you want to do is to get details of your shareholders. Are you the sole shareholder or you are having other people partnering with you in Nigeria to carry out the business? If that's the case, then fine, you can carry out the process. Just get the details. And what are kind of the details you need to supply? Your ID card, your international passport would work, your name, date of birth, a signature, your scanned ID card, and many other details. They are also very important to supply. Now, if you reach out to us, for instance, we'll get those details sent to you so that I can carry out the registration for you. Next thing you also need is that you need a registered office address. Now, that address has to be based in Nigeria, obviously, right? If you are operating a business in Nigeria, you must have a physical location in Nigeria or a virtual office location in Nigeria. That's what will be supplied to the Corporate Affairs Commission during the registration of the business. And finally, on that, you also need to generate or look into your memorandum and article of association. That's very important that you prepare them. Prepare your statement of issued capital, minimum share capital for the company, and then you look at details of persons with significant control. And anybody with significant control in a company, they must have at least 5% of the shares in the company. So if your minimum share capital is 100 million, for instance, so the person must have at least 5% of that particular 100 million, which is 5 million, right? So meanwhile, the final condition for a foreign investor to be able to register a company in Nigeria is one, which is, in fact, that's the first thing I should have mentioned. But the first thing is that you must do a company registration for 100 million minimum share capital. I've made this in several of my videos and I've preached it out. Don't even start. Now, this is very important because I've seen a lot of people get defrauded because of the fact that they lack this simple information. And at the end of the day, they go and register a company with 1 million, and the person doing the registration maybe is unaware, start the registration, cannot finish, cannot make refund to the customer, and before you know, we start getting bad name in Nigeria. And not all of us are, fraudsters and all. But the truth is that to be able to register your company properly in Nigeria as a foreigner, you need to do 100 million share capital. Now, one of the questions I got in my last video was this: that do I need to pay the 100 million into an account or something? The truth is that you don't have to pay the minimum share capital is basically the worth of the company, the paper worth of the company, and that paper worth of the company is just on record. You don't need to have the money immediately physically present in an account. You don't need to go and open an account and then put 100 million there. This is the worth of the company. No, it just shows the capital investment. So your capital, don't forget, you can have your assets involved and everything. You can have different type of assets. The asset that you cannot liquidate easily, the one that you can liquidate immediately, your cash and everything. Different thing has to do with your assets. So what is the worth of the company to you? In Nigeria, if you are registering business owned by foreigners, we expect it to be 100 million minimum share capital. But at the end of the day, what will be the cost of the registration to CAC? That's now dependent on who is registering that for you to carry that out, because there are a lot of different documentation. So when you reach out to us, for instance, we'll give you a breakdown of cost, because for every 1 million share capital you are adding to the business, you will be paying an amount to CAC and also to stamp duty, right? So all those things will be broken down to you when you reach out to us in the DM. Now, the next thing you also want to understand is that, is it necessary to have a Nigerian director? It is not necessary, or it's not compulsory to have a Nigerian director, but I just always recommend this particular having a Nigerian director just for ease actually and flexibility, right? So if you have a Nigerian director, it makes it very easy for you, especially if you are not going to be present most of the time. You have someone who can, carry out the day-to-day activity, opening of account, maintenance of the bank account and all. But meanwhile, it has to be someone you trust. And finally, is that what's the minimum share capital of foreign owner? I've already mentioned that, which is 100 million share capital. Now, after you have registered the company, there are some different other processes that must be carried out. These are called post-incorporation processes. That includes getting a tax identification number, tax ID. Now, that tax ID will be linked to your business and will be put on Rev 360 so that we're able to carry out opening of a bank account for this business. You need to also register with the NRS, Nigerian Revenue Service. You need to open a bank account as well. So don't forget, in those order of preference, that's how you have to process the whole thing. You also have to register with NIPC, that is the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission, depending on the nature of business you are carrying out. You need to obtain business permit as well. Business permit is very important, especially in situations whereby it is required. You also need to apply for expatriate quota. This is if foreign employee will be employed. So if you're having foreign employees, maybe somebody from a company that you have outside Nigeria, you are bringing the person into Nigeria, you want to employ them, you need to get your expatriate quota ready, right? And you need to obtain sector specific license. So depending on the kind of sector you are trying to go into, oil and gas, there are some regulatory bodies that manage their affairs, right? So you might need to enroll with them, right? So the final issue is that the benefit you get, you are going to get access to one of Africa's largest consumer markets, right? So if you register a business in Nigeria, you are looking at 300 to 500 million people that you are tending to, right? People to have legal recognition and credibility in the country, and you're going to have ability to own property and asset because your business is going to be a legal entity on its own. Aside that, you also be able to get jobs from government, from individuals and everybody, right? So I hope you are ready to register your company in Nigeria. If you're ready, do well to click on the WhatsApp link that will be in the description, and then we can help you start the process of incorporating your business here in Nigeria. Any foreign investor would be able to register their business in Nigeria without any stress. All you need to do is reach out to Karisnova Limited. I will get that down for you. Subscribe to this channel, give it a thumbs up. I'll see you in the next one.